Jihad!
Okay, so I've seen the Humble Orthodox's Most Atheists Lack Consistency on Purpose video, and then Tool Time's video in response to that. And I want to just address the YouTube atheism concept in general. As has been acknowledged many times, most of the atheists, or many of the atheists on YouTube, were or are former Christians. Many of them are not, but many of them also are. Now, one of the main issues that Christians on YouTube have with atheists is that most of them don't seem to get the point. They don't seem to get Christianity at all. I would argue, however, that they do in fact get the point, and that they think the Christians don't get theirs. And so they argue with Christians, assuming their points, of course, that God doesn't exist, and Christians argue with them, assuming that God exists. It's very, very ineffective sometimes. You get all these lousy wars, these sometimes very ineffectual, and sometimes very effectual argument strings, with both sides looking at the other and going, you know what, you just don't get it, do you? You moron? With a very annoyed laugh. And so we just had to look down on the other saying, you morons! You idiots! When really, life is looking down on us. So here's the basic layout that we've got. I don't get you, and you don't get me. So what's the problem here? The problem is that we want to get each other. There are certain philosophical divides which are increasing and increasing. Well, no, they're actually decreasing, I think. So anyways, you've got these big philosophical divides, God, not God, pretty different, and we've got both sides pretty convinced that they're right and that the other side's wrong, which does resemble two religions fighting, and in a way it is two religions because YouTube has made a bit of a cult with atheism, even though atheism technically is not a cult or anything besides the position that there isn't enough evidence for God, that God isn't there, but there is nonetheless a bit of a cult with the atheist on YouTube. But blah, 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 blah. So, what am I trying to say? Good question. Okay, so you believe that, and I believe this. Let's just agree to disagree. Wait a minute. If we just agree to disagree, how will that get us anywhere? I mean, isn't that the point of argument, to come to a common understanding? Or do we argue just because we must, because we want to, and there's no other reason to argue, just we do? This means war. Jihad! Yeah!